Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery here. We get together most weekdays at 8 o'clock Central. We will not have a Zoom on Monday due to travel. I think several of you know we're in the process, pretty much final stages of acquiring a large and existing collection agency to be able to help our clients collect the funds from the debtors that are owed to them. Because as you know, when clients enroll in the credit and funding, or as we'll be talking about today, the startup business funding package, we're providing receivables, real receivables to those clients. What we found is that our clients are needing, in many cases, needing assistance in liquidating those receivables, turning it into cash. And so instead of building internally, we decided to buy. So that's where we'll be Monday, just for your information. That's great news, big deal. Going to help all of your clients and also help you as a branch, because if you have clients that are not paying you, this can be an outsourced way to address it. But that is not our discussion today, is it? Our discussion today is just simply to go back and revisit the startup business funding package. This is really the core offering in your branch license agreement. If you go back and look, you will see that in the core of the branch license agreement. This is what we envisioned that we would be taking out to the market. Then we added the addendum for the credit and funding. So this is something that you're plugged into already. It's very valuable, which we'll go through. It's an easy way to help clients and you make money. So let's go through the value proposition to the client. Then we'll go back and talk about what's in it for you, and then answer any questions. And we'll try to wrap up early since it's Friday. We normally do that. All right. Now, I did send out a reminder to each of you this morning, and also letting you know we wouldn't be meeting on Monday, and attach this flyer so you have it. Because at the bottom, of course, is the call to action. You'll want to change your version of the flyer to be what you want them to do, which would be to either call you, text you, email you, or what have you, to respond to you, obviously. Okay, but let's go through the startup business funding package, what it does, how it works, and we'll use the flyer as our talking point. So the startup business funding package is a turnkey resource to form a new business position for fast funding. It is creating a brand new business. So let's say that you have a client that says, "Oh, I already have a business." Well, either we can form a new business for their capital raise, or not use this, because this is specifically designed to create a new business, and we'll go through the details. So who should participate? Entrepreneurs who are looking to form a new business that's well positioned for fast funding. So what we're doing is, we know the boxes that need to be checked for a business to be fundable, and we've created exactly that in an amazingly affordable package, but still profitable for you. So that's what we're doing here. Now, is there a cost? Well, you can debate it. We're actually paying each participant $10,000 to participate. What do I mean by that? We're literally transferring over to them those receivables, like we referenced a moment ago, real receivables. So that way, this new business looks credible from the get-go. It already has assets on the balance sheet, not wink, wink, pretend assets, but real assets. So those receivables are being provided for free when clients enroll. But with that being said, there is an enrollment fee. And real simple, you get half and we get half. So you collect the $2,500 from the client, you keep half, you send us the other half, we do all the work. So this is much cleaner, right? You promote this, you get paid today, you keep half of it, you do no work. Pretty strong proposition, right? So for those of you that are struggling a little bit maybe to keep up with client management, this is a beautiful solution. Simple. All right, so with that being said, let's go through the body of the flyer. The Startup Business Funding Package provides an affordable and effective solution for early stage businesses to meet important credibility factors to access capital. So now here we're essentially getting to what do they get? Because, of course, that's important. And it describes it here, and we've got bullets on the right we'll come back to. But the first thing that we're going to provide them is a legitimate commercial business address. Why is that at the foundation of any fundable business? Because the address matters. The address matters. No P.O. boxes, no residential addresses, none of these virtual addresses that are shared by multiple businesses. That's not good. Those are not good. We want a unique commercial business address, and we provide that. That's bullet number 1 here. Now, if you say, well, Tom, they already have a business address. This client already has a business address. Well, then you wouldn't enroll them in this. Or they could keep whatever they have to the side. We start up this program and use this for funding, and they keep their other business separate. Many of us own multiple businesses. Every once in a while, I'll run into someone and say, well, that's kind of suspicious. You own multiple businesses. It's like, what do you mean? I mean, look at Elon Musk, and probably none of us are quite to his status, at least yet. But does he own SpaceX? Does he own Tesla? Does he own X? Used to be called Twitter. Of course. So anyone that thinks it's fuzzy or funny business to own multiple businesses is ignorant, quite frankly. So if they already have a business that they don't want, well, if they already have a business, that doesn't mean that they can't participate in this. This is just a nice, clean reset button. Because, for example, let's say they already have a business. Is it fully compliant, right? Have they filed all their taxes? Do their financials look strong? So just because they have a business doesn't mean it's fundable. Here, you and I have the ability to create a business that is fundable. But let's continue on. So the first thing we're going to do is provide a legitimate commercial address. I can't emphasize enough how important that is and how often that's a barrier for other businesses. So that, in fact, is bullet 1. The second thing that we're going to do, bouncing over here, is file with the Secretary of State. We just filed several new businesses this morning. So we go online, we prepare the documentation, and we file it with the Secretary of State. And then after that is issued, then we get the EIN through the IRS. So that's free, right? The address is free. The Secretary of State EIN, free. Now, let's go back over to the verbiage. We're going to help them build a strong business credit profile. Well, why does that matter? Because a business, no matter if it's through this program or something they already had or got somewhere else, if that business hasn't demonstrated that it's a responsible borrower, in other words, it doesn't have an established credit profile, it is not very fundable. We'll have people that go out and they buy shell companies. Oh, this company is 5 years old or 10 years old. Well, how strong is it? It's not just that it exists, that has an older age. So that's something that we do, and we do that for free. We actually want to get them $250,000 of business credit under the EIN, no personal guarantees. So that's part of the value proposition, and then helping them build credible financials. So part of that, as I mentioned, is the $10,000 that it's transferred. And again, if you don't understand these assets that we're transferring, then, well, first of all, shame on me, but you're really missing out on the power of what you and I are taking to the marketplace. Because without the receivables, many of these companies look insolvent. Do you think it's hard to get an insolvent business funded? It sure is. Sure is. So, as it describes, once they enroll, we're going to get them their unique address. That's usually within 24 hours, and then we'll get filed with Secretary of State. We pay for the filing fees. We transfer the assets over, those things that we talked about. So what's the end goal? The end goal is to help clients have a fundable business. What do they pay for that? They pay you $2,500. You keep half, you send us half. What do they get for that? The value proposition that we've been discussing, including $10,000 in assets. Now, and a couple of you are mentioning this in the Q&A. There are businesses like Credit Suite. Very good company. I have nothing negative to say about them. Credit Suite, Suite. You would probably pay more than this just to get help building out your credit profile. So there are some businesses out there that do some of these pieces. I don't think there's anyone else that does all of what we do, let alone getting down to the Chapman Fund, which we're going to go to in just a moment. So the price point's great. Now, Timothy's asking, hey, what's the performance fee? There is no performance fee on this. So when we talk about what the client's cost is, there it is. No, there's no back-end fee on this. There's no performance fee. So the clients aren't paying $2,500 plus something on the back end. There is nothing on the back end. This is a great value that you should have great success in getting into clients' hands, getting them enrolled, and just do one of these a day. If you have some good marketing or have some affiliates working for you, one a day, 2,500 times 30 days in the month. I should be able to do that in my head. What is that? 75,000 a month? Is that right? It's probably wrong, but we'll move forward. Now let's get over to the geographic access to the Chapman Fund. What do you and I know about addresses? Addresses matter for two reasons. We've already talked about in our conversation today that we need to provide a true, unique commercial business address. Otherwise, it's not credible. We've covered that. But beyond that, where that address is matters. What do you mean, Tom? Well, how is the business taxed? We set up businesses where there's no state income tax, so that saves the client money. We set up businesses where they have access to taxing authority funds, and that's exactly what the Chapman Fund is. So the Chapman Fund is not a grant. It is not a grant. It's not free money. It's a loan, must be paid back. But we don't have to go jump through hoops through banks or credit unions. It's low interest. It's not one of those crazy alternative loan programs. So the Chapman Fund is specific to a geographic area because it's coming from tax money, right? It makes sense, right? You wouldn't get benefits of a taxing district if your business isn't in the taxing district. So does the business owner need to live in that taxing district? No. Does the business need to be formed in that taxing district? Yes. Could that business have operations elsewhere across the state or across the country or across the world? Absolutely. It's where it's domiciled, where it's formed. So we're not the sharpest knives in the drawer, but we understand how to build out the business that's going to qualify. And that's it. Now, can these businesses that you and I are creating through the funding package only access the Chapman Fund? Absolutely not. There's no limitation, but this is an additional benefit because they do geographically qualify. Now, when we get to the Chapman Fund, I'm not going to come here and present, oh, everything is rosy, everything's perfect, because we've talked about before. You and I have a transparent relationship. Most things in life have pros and cons, most things. So the pros of the Chapman Fund, as mentioned here, very flexible use, can be used for fixed assets, construction, renovations, lease property, equipment, inventory, working capital. That's all good. It can be used in conjunction with other types of funding, so it can be stacked. That's very good. Tax supported, don't have to go through a bank. That's good. But is it all good? No, it's not all good. The major detriment is it has a cap. This is a small amount of money. They will go from $30,000 to $250,000. They will not do more than $250,000 per entity. I've had people curse at me. I've had people yell at me. I've had people threaten me. I've had people hang up on me because you'll have some clients that you say, hey, here's how the startup program works. And you describe it accurately and you get to this and they're like, oh, you're a motherfucker, right? They'll say horrible things about you because they want more than $250,000. So you just got to go into it thick skinned. People will attack you because they want more funding than this. But this is all the Chapman Fund will do. But remember, Our saving grace is we can make this the first tranche, and then we can go get more funding from other sources, and that's very common. But no, it's not all perfect. It has a hard cap. No matter how smart, how successful that person is, Chapman Fund will not do more than $250,000 per deal. All right, so let's get to your questions, your comments, concerns about this. All right, so Ken's asking, we're going to set up a corporation for the capital raise through the startup program. Yeah, yes, sir. We're going to set up a corporation. That's the most fundable type of business. Sylvia asked, is it advantageous to have every business do this? Well, I don't want to go that far. I think what can happen is you can determine, and I'll give you details, but you can determine, Sylvia, how credible is that business to get funding as they're set up now. And if they're already credible, they don't need this, because you and I are not out just trying to sell trinkets to people, right? We're trying to solve problems. So if they have a business, so let's reverse engineer it. If they have a business already, Sylvia, do they have a true business address? If yes, well, then this is less valuable. Of that business that they already have, is it set up and is it legally compliant and good standing? If yes, then they don't need this as much. Does their business currently have a strong business credit profile? If yes, then they don't need this as much. If their current business already has liquidity, in other words, assets on the balance sheet to pledge as collateral, then they don't need this as much. So it's kind of like two sides of the conversation. Here's the value proposition that you and I provide clients. If this would benefit them, then they should enroll, regardless if they have an existing business or not. But if they have an existing business that already meets this value proposition, then I wouldn't have an argument of why they should enroll. They should just use their business and go get funding, right? So we're not trying to convince people to do things that's not in their best interest, but this is a very valuable proposition. John asked, is this refundable? No, it's not refundable. They pay you, John, $2,500. You keep half, you send us half, we do all the work, and it's not refundable. And no, there's no performance fee. All right, so who else has questions on this? Because this is a really big deal. This is a very valuable proposition that I feel that some of you maybe haven't assimilated. And that's my fault, right? Not yours. If the student doesn't understand, it's the teacher's fault. So I'm okay with being reprimanded for failing you up until today. But as of today, 8:18, I was reading the time, but 8:18 a.m. Central on October 6, 2023, the burden has just left me, and now it's gone to you. Because now, in my opinion, you should understand this value proposition. You should be helping small businesses with this. You should be earning an adult income and helping lots of businesses get set up properly and get funded. All right, so Ron's asking about collateral, and that's a great point. So when it comes to collateral for funding, normally we look holistically, and that's not a Tom term, that's an industry term, meaning looking at the client from all angles. So what collateral do they personally bring to the table? What does their business bring to the table? And if they own multiple businesses, cumulatively, what are the assets they can bring to the table for collateral? For a lot of folks, they'll bring some collateral to the table, and then we're supplementing even more. And we said, right, the Chapman Fund will go down to $30,000. That's the floor. And so, most people will be fine with just this amount of collateral. So I wouldn't worry about that, Ron. We should be good. All right, so John asked another question. So he asked, if someone just formed a business, can they transfer that address? Well, in this, there are no transfers, and I appreciate your question, John. What I found is we would have to increase our price if we make it more complicated. I like simple. I need simple in my old age. Maybe you like simple. I'm pretty confident clients like simple. So moving around existing entities to try to make it fit into this is too much work, quite frankly. Therefore, no, we don't do transfers. These are the services that we provide. This is what's included. So if they said to you, John, no, I already have an address. Well, I'm glad for you. Either go get funding with it or participate in this program. And here's what we do. So we don't want to bastardize it. We in the beginning we tried to be flexible, and it ate up too much time, right? You're making some money on this. I mean, you're making 2,500 gross, 1,250, 50% net, but you can't be chewing up a lot of time. So you should spend less than an hour in every instance because you have no implementation responsibility. So again, your time's valuable. I know, John, you and others, you all make a lot of money at other things that you do. But if you're just looking at this on an hourly basis, you should make about $1,000, about $1,000 an hour. Assuming you spend an hour or less, you're making a little more than $1,000. But if all of a sudden you complicate it, you could spend lots of time, and that's reducing your profitability. Let's not do that. So this is the deal. This is the deal. And if they want to enroll, they're welcome to enroll. If they don't want to enroll, they don't have to enroll. But I'm telling you, you're going to find a lot of people, whether it be new entrepreneurs or even existing entrepreneurs, that say, give me simple, give me fast, and give me free. And I say free because we're giving them more assets than they're paying for it, but you understand. All right. Ken's asking about the referral program. Yeah, so you're going to get an editable copy. Well, I sent each of you this document this morning. So you can go and use Adobe, and you can edit whatever you want using Adobe. This is what we put on our flyer because we're looking for people like you to help us promote the program. So when you get this and edit it, you'll probably take this off, won't you? Or maybe you'll offer a referral program. Maybe you take that comment out and you offer $100 for each time someone refers to you. So you could modify that to meet your needs. And then, of course, you'll modify the call to action information at the bottom. So what's your feedback? What do you think? Andrew, thank you for being on the training. Andrew, what's your candid feedback of this proposition? Do you think it's needed? Do you think it's a good value? Andrew, what do you think? Andrea, you and I were talking, I think, yesterday. What's your feedback? Do you think that this is needed? Do you think it's a good value? Bernard, Charles, Mr. and Mrs. Ward, Eric and Veronica, Jeanette, John, you've been asking some questions. Give me feedback. What do you think about what we've created here? Now, if you don't like it, it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But ultimately, it would come down to what would you build better? Because if we're providing what the small business owner needs, and Lon, I'm looking for your feedback, Ken, Pauline, Quantrell, Ron, Sagruden, Sylvia, and others. I'm looking for your feedback, and I'm not looking for a pat on the back. I mean, what do you think about this? Because if you don't like it, either you don't understand it, which is my fault, or you would have to come back constructively and say, no, this is not what businesses need. No, businesses don't need a good business address for funding. Well, I would strongly disagree with that. Or you'd say, well, no, businesses don't need to be set up with the Secretary of State. Well, that's not true. Or you'd have to say, well, businesses don't really need to have a strong credit profile to be more fundable. I don't know how you would ever defend that. Or no, giving these clients free assets, that's not good business. Well, that's craziness because that's where a lot of them need the help. A lot of them are insolvent. So, or if you know of other funding sources that are better than the Chapman Fund, then call us out on that. But this is really good, really good. All right, well, we're running long. We promised to try to end early on Fridays. We got a very busy day today. Going to be traveling over the weekend, working with the merger and acquisition attorneys for that acquisition. Be back in the saddle again Tuesday morning. Let me know if you need anything, but appreciate it. Have a great day and a good weekend. We'll see you Tuesday morning. Bye-bye.